Here's your wrestling news for October 7th, 2022, and we're kicking off today with AEW as the issues between Andrade El Idolo and Sammy Guevara have only gotten worse. In a recent interview, Andrade said that Guevara complained about El Idolo hitting too hard, and Guevara fired back, saying Andrade wouldn't be in AEW if not for Ric Flair, and said, "Go back to WWE like we all know you want." There's now been an update on this situation, as Fightful Select reports that the two were involved in a backstage altercation during last night's Dynamite tapings. It's noted that the pair had continued to take verbal shots at each other, and when Guevara shoved Andrade, the former NXT champion threw a punch, though it's unclear if it connected. Fightful's report made it clear that this wasn't part of some elaborate angle between the two, and that the tensions between Andrade and Guevara are very real. Not long after the fight, Andrade posted, "Respect me and I'll respect you" on social media, though it looks like neither man is ready to show the other respect. Andrade has teased leaving AEW over the past month, and with a backstage fight now under his belt, the decision to leave may be made for him by Tony Khan. Andrade and Guevara's fight backstage had fans talking, and it's also affected plans for the show. After the altercation, Fightful confirmed that Andrade had been sent home by the company and won't be competing at this Friday's Rampage. El Idolo was supposed to be facing Preston Vance of the Dark Order in a career versus mask match, but in a tweet, Tony Khan said that the match had been cancelled. Khan didn't explain his decision for the change, but said that instead, Vance and the Dark Order will challenge Death Triangle for the AEW Trios titles this Friday instead. As for Guevara, he will still compete this Friday in a separate match, but there's no confirmation on who he'll face. It's one thing for Andrade to express his displeasure on social media, but his actions have now resulted in AEW having to cancel matches, something we imagine Tony Khan is not happy about. Andrade won't be putting his career in AEW on the line this Friday, but his days with the company may indeed be numbered. Many people have weighed in on Andrade's comments over the past few weeks, and now Tony Khan himself has commented on the situation. Before the match was canceled, Khan appeared on the My Mom's Basement podcast and said that fans may not necessarily miss El Idolo in AEW. Andrade is a terrible guy. If Andrade loses this match, he would leave AEW forever, and frankly, the way things have gone with Andrade and the way things have carried on, I think a lot of people might not mind that, but it'll be an interesting situation to follow. Khan rarely talks negative about his own talent, which Andrade still is for the time being, so this is either a very real situation or entirely for show. Many believe that Andrade wants to return to WWE now that Triple H has more control, and that his actions as of late are in pursuit of that goal, but we can't imagine WWE will be eager to re-sign someone who's making a name online for all the wrong reasons. Speaking behind Fightful's paywall, Sean Ross Sapp reported that many in AEW don't appreciate the back and forth the pair have had on social media, believing it only paints a bad picture for the promotion. A top talent in AEW was frustrated by the way things played out, regardless of if it was a work or a shoot, because they felt it painted a poor picture of AEW's locker room. We've heard that the locker room has been much more cohesive since the Brawl out situation that left numerous top stars suspended. A turning point that several AEW talent pointed to was Chris Jericho, Bryan Danielson, and Jon Moxley's talent meeting that calmed many nerves and was said to have helped get a lot of people on the right track. Another AEW original had said that they viewed the Andrade-Sammy Guevara situation as disrespectful to the work those three put in making that happen, regardless of the context of what follows, specifically whether it was planned or spontaneous or worked. One of the points hammered home in recent weeks had been to keep dirty laundry private in that regard. There were a couple of others that we heard from who were steadfast in the "if it doesn't involve me, I'm not going to pay attention to it or concern myself with it" camp, and also pointed to the more cohesive locker room as of late. So it remains to be seen what he will do with the former NXT champion and his growing bad reputation. We've got some sad news to report as Sara Lee, the winner of 2015's Tough Enough, has died. Facebook posts by Lee's family made on October 5th confirmed her passing, and she leaves behind 3 children, a 5-year-old daughter and 3-year-old son, and another son born last year. Lee died at the young age of 30, though no cause of death has been made public knowledge at this time. In wrestling, Lee was the female winner of Tough Enough Season 6, a series that also included future stars including Velveteen Dream, NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, and Chelsea Green. Like the male winner Josh Brettel, Lee did not go far after her victory, competing in a series of NXT live events, with her sole singles win in WWE coming over current SmackDown Women's Champion Liv Morgan before her release months later. In a final Instagram post one day before her passing, Lee said that she was returning to the gym for the first time after dealing with a bad sinus infection. After her release in 2016, Lee would step away from wrestling, but would go on to marry former WWE superstar Wesley Blake, and we'd like to offer our condolences to Blake and all those who knew Lee at this sad time. Lee's young passing is tragic, and several wrestlers have shared their tributes to the Tough Enough winner. Mick Foley said how this is just awful news and shared his best wishes to her friends and family, while WWE's Sonya Deville said that her fellow Tough Enough 2015 contestant was awesome. Natalya said that she was keeping Sara's children and husband in her prayers, while Dana Brooke called the deceased wrestler a pure soul, great woman, and even a better mother. Alexa Bliss shared an image from her wedding, which featured Weston Blake and Sara, and said her death has been heartbreaking. AEW Sara, who was a judge on the 2015 Tough Enough, also gave tribute with some photos alongside Lee, as did fellow contestant Chelsea Green. Not long after her death was announced, fellow WWE alum Bull James, aka Bull Dempsey, set up a GoFundMe for her family, which has done incredibly well. The goal of the fundraiser is to raise $20,000 to help out Weston Blake and her family, but in just a few hours of going live, the page has raised over $11,000. This GoFundMe was shared by several prominent names, including Alexa Bliss, Sasha Banks, and Ava Raine, and we hope that Sara's family are able to find some form of comfort at this incredibly sad time. Punk, Steel, and The Elite weren't the only names suspended from AEW, as anyone involved with the fight were taken off TV. That included people who had been trying to break up the fight, but their suspensions ended last month. One name who was suspended is Brandon Cutler, and not only has his suspension been lifted, but he's now back in the ring. During the most recent tapings for AEW Dark Elevation, Cutler had his first match in almost 3 months for AEW, defeating Serpentico in the main event of the show. Cutler and others, including Michael Nakazawa and Christopher Daniels, were only suspended as a cautionary measure during the third-party investigation. And with Cutler back in the ring, we'll have to keep waiting for an official result of the investigation regarding those talents still suspended. Now, it's been over 4 months since Charlotte Flair last appeared in a WWE ring, where she lost the SmackDown Women's title to Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania Backlash. WWE has not given any clues as to when Flair will be back, but at least now we know exactly what is keeping her away. For a time, it was reported that Flair may have been dealing with an injury, but that isn't the case. In his interview with Mas Lucha, the same in which he lashed out at Sammy Guevara, Andrade spoke about his wife, saying she's away for what were described as personal reasons. Andrade didn't give any update as to what these personal reasons are, but they must be something pretty big to have kept the multiple-time former women's champion away for this long. El Idolo also addressed the rumors of his return to WWE, adding that while he can't speak directly to WWE about a deal, he can pass messages along through his wife, who remains in contact with the company despite her hiatus. Flair has shown no hints of returning anytime soon, but whenever she does come back, fans can expect the Queen of All Eras to add even more titles to her already record-breaking collection. Speaking of WWE's Women's Championships, Liv Morgan will look to go extreme this weekend when she defends the SmackDown Women's title against Ronda Rousey. Over the past month, WWE has done what they can to make Morgan seem more credible against Rousey, but things nearly went too far. On the September 23rd SmackDown, Morgan showed how extreme she could go by taking a dangerous dive that put Lacey Evans through a table. Speaking to the Metro newspaper, Morgan explained that the dive didn't go perfect, and if she'd jumped a little bit harder, then she could have easily landed awkwardly and broke her ankle. Thankfully for Morgan and WWE's plans, she narrowly avoided what could have been a very serious injury, but after 2 controversial wins over Ronda Rousey, we'll have to see if the clock strikes midnight on Liv's Cinderella story of a title reign. Speaking of possible injuries, Montez Ford appeared in a walking boot on this week's Raw, and it was reported off-screen that he is hurt. No explanation has been given as to what injury Ford is dealing with or when it occurred, and it turns out that this may not be as legitimate as first believed. According to Fightful Select, it wasn't WWE's medical team who provided Ford with the boot, but rather their prop department, that was tasked with sourcing the item in question. Fightful added that it is unclear even backstage if Ford's injury is real or just part of a storyline that hasn't been made clear yet. All we know for certain is that Montez Ford won't be wrestling for the immediate future, but reports of his injury may have been greatly exaggerated. And we're ending today with AEW as this week's Dynamite marked the show's 3rd anniversary. In the main event, Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara defeated Daniel Garcia and Bryan Danielson, but the show didn't stop there for the fans in Washington, D.C. After the show, Danielson and Garcia shook hands, confirming that the ROH Pure Champion is no longer affiliated with the Jericho Appreciation Society. Speaking of the JAS, the group appeared on the ramp, with Guevara sharing a kiss with Ty Mello, which earned boos and loud El Idolo chants. After the group went backstage, Tony Khan reintroduced Jericho, who spoke candidly about the importance of AEW to him in his career, saying that if the company wasn't around, then he'd probably have retired by now. The post-show celebration ended with Jericho having a crowd sing-along of Judas in what was an extra special post-show for a historic episode of AEW Dynamite. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.